This is Energy Perspectives, a weekly podcast produced in Guyana that delves into the developments unfolding in the world's fastest growing economy.
As we count down to the 2026 Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo, we're highlighting partnerships shaping Guyana's energy future. One of the most dynamic is the growing collaboration between Guyana and the Dominican Republic. You may recall it was back in 2024 Energy Conference when that collaboration was further strengthened by the launching of the Dominican Republic Chamber of Commerce. With that context, we are pleased to welcome His Excellency Ernesto Torres Pereyra, Ambassador of the Dominican Republic to Guyana. Your Excellency, welcome to Energy Perspectives. It's a pleasure to have you with us as both of our countries navigate important energy transitions. How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for the opportunity and for the invitation.
This is going to be your third energy conference with us?
Yes, indeed it is. But it's my first time being interviewed by my favorite MC in the world.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Well, you know, the Dominican Republic has made strong progress in renewables and LNG. And, you know, let's begin by talking about the key lessons from your country's energy transition that could be useful for us here in Guyana.
Well, one of the most important lessons from the Dominican Republic's experience is that transitions must be sequenced and institutionally supported. Expanding renewable energy requires not only technology, but also great readiness, regulatory clarity, and reliable transitions that ensure, stability and sustainability, and also affordability. So this experience is not presented as a formula, but as a reference that can be adapted according to each country's priorities. And also the development pace, which in Guyana's case is vertiginous. And also you have to make sure that the institutional framework is in place.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks for that opening context. And, as I opened, I began by saying that already much is happening with the Dominican Republic and Guyana. And recently, you signed a memorandum of understanding. So we want to turn the attention now to, the practical projects or the exchanges that can come out of these agreements so that they are results-based.
Well, actually, the memorandum was signed a while ago already. We signed one in the area of energy during President Ali's visit to the Dominican Republic, and then we signed the MOU between InterEnergy Group and GPL. So in our experience, the value of a memorandum of understanding lies precisely in the ability to translate intent into practical cooperation and solutions. The most effective agreements establish always clear technical dialogue, defined focal points, and realistic objectives, which is the case of the collaboration between InterEnergy and GPL. What has worked best in cooperation, that it is demand-driven, focused on institutional strengthening, and oriented towards concrete outcomes, whether through technical exchanges, capacity building, or facilitating dialogue that supports viable projects. And this is precisely what we're trying to achieve with the presence of InterEnergy Group here in Guyana, to help Guyana achieve that transition to a more efficient and effective energy production and distribution. Because some people forget, but we are serving here, but we live here. So we understand the sociocultural dynamics and also what the increase in demand in case of energy. We have experienced it firsthand. So we're very, enthusiastic about this prospect of working together, because Guyana's inexorable development, is a reality.
Absolutely. And I know we referenced there that particular MOU with InterEnergy, but there are other areas that already collaboration is happening in. I know we're going to talk more in a moment, and you referenced the visit by our president to the Dominican Republic, and you also had a trade delegation, several trade delegations coming to Guyana as well.
Well, to be honest, this has been one of the most dynamic postings that I have occupied.
Keeps you busy.
Extremely busy, but it's very satisfactory actually, because as I mentioned, I've been a witness not only of the development that Guyana has achieved in the last 2 years. We've been here exactly for 2 years and 4 months now, and we have seen how much you have advanced. We have been receiving business delegations practically every month. It's just that during President Abinader's first visit, we received here the biggest delegation that accompanied our head of state outside of the Dominican Republic. So it shows the solid interest in building a productive bond between both countries. Mm-hmm. So President Abinader has shown not only a lot of respect for President Ali and his cabinet, but also for the potential that Guyana has as a regional leader, not only in the area of energy, but the potential that you have will cover all areas. I don't think there are many countries with such potential in the world, honestly. Huh?
And is there any new area that's been added on or being considered? I know you mentioned that, there are so many sectors perhaps being explored, but agri-tourism?
Yes, we have actually advanced in several initiatives in the area of agriculture, for example. We're just waiting for the ministry's response now, so we can initiate the Ministry of Agriculture's response to initiate our cacao plantation, large-scale cacao plantation using the Dominican model. As you know, we are one of the world's largest producers of cacao and probably the world's largest producers of organic cacao. So we brought the company that has been responsible for this, a huge evolution in Dominican cacao production, to work directly with Guyana and the Guyanese government and the private sector. So we're just waiting for the green light to use the land that has been allocated, or the land that after the feasibility studies show the most potential. So once the government gives us the go-ahead, we will start. And the group has also is the RISEC group from the Dominican Republic. They have allocated already a very significant amount of funds to put this project into work. So we're just waiting for the green light.
So it's more than energy where collaboration is happening.
Of course.
But of course,
energy so far is I think would be in the long run will be the least. Oh. The potential for collaboration is huge. You mentioned tourism. As you know, we're already reaching the mark of 12.5 million tourists per year visiting the Dominican Republic. So it's already exceeding our population. And if you look at it from from an objective perspective, we are not competing in the field of tourism. Our offers are completely different. So if we decide to collaborate together, it would be a very, very powerful combination. We have the Hispanic Caribbean, atmosphere, the blue waters, the fantastic beaches, the highest mountains in the Caribbean, the biggest lakes in the Caribbean. We have enough also the culture, the music, the colonial zone, which is the first of everything that you see from Europe in the entire hemisphere, is in the Dominican Republic.
So you're definitely a destination not to miss in 2026.
Definitely.
I know.
But what we see is the potential of collaborating, because whoever comes to the Dominican Republic looking for that offer that is already very, well known around the world, if we present the possibility of seeing the other face of the Caribbean, the English-speaking country with the pristine rainforest and jungle, with the biodiversity, with the incredible food, Also, you have a diversity that is not only ethnic, but also theological, cultural. You have also Amerindian tribes here that are still living with the original traditions. And
authentic culture.
Precisely. And in our case, in the islands of the Caribbean, we lost our Amerindian population due to the harsh process of the colonization. So you have something that we cannot offer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we complement each other. This is why it's so important that we make an effort to bring back the Punta Cana group. Because they came twice. They met with President Ali, they met with the relevant authorities, but for some reason, we have not been able to put the initiative together, but we already showed our interest of doing something significant together.
Okay. All right. So that's definitely an area to look out. And you'd think that Ambassador has been in Guyana for a long time, 2.5 years and counting, you're saying?
No, almost 2.5 years.
Almost 2.5 years. But already you appreciate, who we are as a people and what we offer, not just this part of the world, but of course, the larger global family. And while we're having this conversation, of course, we're counting down to the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo that's happening in just a matter of days. And we already established that so much already is happening between Guyana and the Dominican Republic, and we are certainly leveraging the energy transitions that are, similar for Guyana and the DR. Earlier, we touched on the progress in renewables and LNG. Then we looked a little bit about the MOU that was signed, and now we want to switch gears a little bit to look at the regional renewable collaboration ambassador, because both countries, we have ambitious renewable targets. So let's talk about how regional cooperation and private partnerships can, really accelerate this progress.
Well, energy challenges in the Caribbean are inherently regional. So the Dominican Republic has therefore made an effort to promote collaboration through coordinated advocacy in international forums and by encouraging partnerships that respect national frameworks while generating regional benefits. Private sector engagement, when it is aligned, of course, with public policy objectives, has played a complementary role. And the complementary role has been very effective while supporting the technology transfer, investment, and also fostering human capital development. And we just like Guyana, we have the vision that it has to be done at a regional level.
Mm-hmm. And thus far, we're matching that. Or where do we need to strengthen or accelerate, perhaps?
Well, if you want to accelerate more, it would be dangerous here. I mean, you're going actually at a very fast rate, and as I told you, I am a witness because when I came here almost 2.5 years ago, I saw what was going on. I saw the rapid development, but I could tell the difference in the quality of the roads, for example. Mm-hmm. I saw that issues with electricity were, more frequent. The supply was suspended very frequently. I see that everything has improved. In terms of the institutions, I see now that the institutions have been evolving, developing digital platforms. In terms of service, Guyana has improved plenty. Also, even in the area of leisure, which might be feel as something superficial, but when you look at it from a development perspective, it's not superficial because it shows that the market is demanding something different. So I've been able to witness the transition as an active, dynamic witness.
We're glad to hear that, particularly from the Dominican Republic, from you, Ambassador. And we hope that those are some of the testimonies that the Energy Conference allows, that evaluation, that feedback, that analysis of what is happening on the ground, and of course the experiences by persons who are doing business in Guyana, they've got their eye on doing business, maybe not just in energy, but in other areas. So good to hear some of those perspectives that we are hearing from you today on the Energy Perspectives podcast, as we get ready for the 2026 Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo. Remember those dates, February 17 to the 20th, happening at the Guyana Marriott Hotel. And of course, what will happen over the 3 to 4 days? There's going to be an opportunity to listened to some really groundbreaking discussions. We're just giving you a sample of it this today on the Energy Perspectives podcast, but you're going to hear it in greater detail with more context, with presentations, networking, investment opportunities across energy. We're talking supply chain, logistics, and so much more. Again, it's February 17 to the 20th. And speaking of, attracting investment, Ambassador, I want us now to turn our attention to how you have been able to successfully draw private investment in energy back home. What helped build investor confidence in the Dominican Republic, of course, while safeguarding your important national priorities?
The central lesson is that investment follows institutional confidence. Transparent procurement, predictable regulation, and coherent coordination among public institutions are completely essential. Equally important is project design. Investment must be structured in a way that balances public interest with financial viability. And when these conditions are met, private participation becomes a tool for sustainable development rather than a source for uncertainty. Mm-hmm. So, it's something that I have to mention something. Regardless of these principles that could apply in many scenarios, something essential to achieve confidence or to be able to, to attract investment is that you have to have a solid legal framework. And also, the leadership has also to send a message of trust. You understand? Mm-hmm. And this is one of the key aspects, I believe, in Guyana's development process now, that we have also witnessed how the leadership of President Ali has crossed the borders. Guyana is a topic of conversation now worldwide, obviously because of oil and gas. But the perception is that you can do business in Guyana because the foreign countries and foreign businesses see that they can trust the current administration. I've seen myself, because I not only exchange very frequently with President Ali and the cabinet, that there's a determination to bring this national project to fruition. So this is a key aspect. You might have all the resources in the world, but if you don't have a sound leadership, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to achieve development. Mm-hmm. And Guyana is in a good moment precisely because of the combination of those two factors.
Yeah. And it's not, as you mentioned, the importance of that, the framework, the legal frameworks, the understanding by people who are coming to do business in Guyana, but we also see that happening with the people themselves, with President, Cabinet on the ground in communities almost every day,
exactly.
Just ensuring that they understand what is happening. They have a say in all the plans that are happening for Guyana. So it's not just happening for a particular set of stakeholders, but all that are involved. And of course, our people are key to all of this.
It's good that you bring that point to the conversation because, I served in the Middle East. I served in Israel before coming to Guyana. So I was able to experience how things are done in several of these countries in the Middle East. In the case of Israel, it is a democracy. So it is very effective. They have achieved the levels of development that probably surpass all the other countries in the region except maybe the UAE. And the UAE probably is the one that is at that level. But the Arab countries in the region that are well known for the wealth of, in the areas of oil and gas, you could say that they have an advantage because they are not operating under democratic principles. These countries are monarchies. These countries are also very homogeneous in terms of its population. So for them, it is easier sometimes to implement policies because where the leader says, everybody goes. Mm-hmm. And here I have to say that democracy is very mature. So what you mentioned about the president and the cabinet being present everywhere it shows that the government is trying to achieve consensus of where to go when it comes to development, not forgetting the opinion and the impressions of the people. This is essential in a democratic nation. So I've also seen a lot of manifestations of how mature your democracy is. Look at the past elections. They went smoothly. Everybody was telling me that I had to be very careful during the elections because of the historical record of how can I say, of instability during the process and of bringing the racial issues, when it comes to the dynamics of the elections. But this year, you saw that notion that President Ali has promoted very actively of one Guyana, I felt it, and actually, I don't know how much time we have.
No, please continue.
But an anecdote that I've shared actually with most of the people that I meet when they ask me about Guyana is that when I came and met the president for the first time during my presentation of credentials, he asked me, I was still living in Israel, when I presented credentials. He asked me, Excellency, are you going to stay with us for Christmas? And I said, well, I have to consult, I'm still, adapting. And I said, you must stay with us for Christmas. You cannot imagine how much fun we have, how beautiful the atmosphere is. But I'm having a short circuit in my head because I know President Ali is a Muslim. And I come from Israel. You will not even see the Jews who are Judeo-Christian speaking about celebrating Christmas. You know what I mean? So it shows you that deep inside, President Ali is not using this as either as a slogan or no. He is actually showing that this country's identity has been redefined by that diversity, and that all these cultural elements, religious expressions, are precisely part of what you are as Guyanese. You see, and he showed it spontaneously. This doesn't happen very often.
Wow. And I'm so happy that you shared it because the Energy Conference, this podcast, it's happening in the month when Guyana is celebrating our Republic anniversary, but we're also going to be marking 60 years as an independent nation. So it gives us, a moment for reflection, but your perspective really helps to remind us that what is happening in Guyana is incredible and that we've got to keep at this momentum to ensure that all of our people, that we, this is what makes us stand out when anybody talks about Guyana. Yes, you mentioned all that is happening, infrastructure, but the bottom line is our people. We are so hospitable. And also happening during the Energy Conference will be the observance of 3 main religious activities. We'll have the Christians will have Lent, the Muslims will be in the period of Ramadan, and the Hindus will be observing and celebrating Pagua as well, all around the same time. So I'm glad that you mentioned what
exactly,
you did.
And everybody. People are not tolerating here. People are embracing them. People have made all these cultural expressions their own, regardless of where they come from. So this is what's amazing about this country.
And did you spend the Christmas here when President invited you, or you had to go back?
Well, if you want me to be honest, my wife is Russian, as you know.
Ah, okay.
So I've had to spend last couple of Christmas in the harsh cold of Moscow.
And I know that ambassador because I crossed him a few times and he was heading out. So so he's right on. Well, in our remaining minutes on our Energy Perspectives podcast, Ambassador, and for those who are tuning in and thinking, well, he sounds so Guyanese, he's immersed in our culture, he's one of us. Well, he is a serving ambassador here in Guyana. He is His Excellency Ernesto Torres Pereyra, ambassador of the Dominican Republic to Guyana. And as we mentioned at the start of our podcast, it's the growing collaboration that we are marking as we get ready for the Energy Conference. And the DR, of course, is an important stakeholder and partner in Guyana. For the remaining time, Ambassador, I wanted us to touch on something that, as we host the Energy Conference, we do so because energy security is critical in light of all that's happening globally. Climate, Guyana aims to be a climate leader, of course. Do you see scope for a more integrated Caribbean approach to things like resilience, supply?
Well, definitely. As you know, we're one of the signatory and members of the Global Alliance for the Environment. So we are very aware of its importance. But when it comes to energy security, it has become basically a critical dimension of resilience. The Dominican Republic has worked with regional partners to strengthen preparedness, community of supply, and infrastructure resilience. There is clear potential, of course, for deeper coordination, particularly in emergency protocols, logistical planning, and resilience standards. These are areas where cooperation enhances national efforts without undermining sovereignty. So one of the reasons why we signed also a memorandum of understanding in the area of energy was precisely looking at a united Caribbean in terms of energy security. I believe with Guyana, with the regional leadership that is currently developing, and the huge potential that you have here, I think if we continue building a stronger Caribbean region, I believe our energy security could be assured. As you know, what we have achieved in the Dominican Republic has been achieved without oil and gas. And in many of the indicators, we're actually, I think we're occupying a pretty decent space. But collaboration and solid common objectives will define the road to the future. It's true that in other areas of the world, they're already planning this transition, to renewables and all that. But in our region, we still need to reach certain level. Mm-hmm. I believe in the case of Guyana, having just like us, having abundant sunlight, we could benefit from that. Having a very dynamic coastline with the winds, we could also benefit from that. To avoid putting all your cards in the exploitation of fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. So I believe with the push that Guyana will receive now because of the nature's bounty when it comes to oil and gas, you can ensure the future by planning ahead. So your economy doesn't really depend specifically on that field. As I said, in the Dominican Republic, we have achieved everything without oil and gas. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So imagine what you could do here. You have almost 5 times the surface of the Dominican Republic. You have abundant water. You know what Guyana means.
Land of many waters.
Exactly. You have super fertile soil. And as you mentioned, you have a population that is actually, in spite of their diversity, is very connected. And I see that in the future, the population will continue to integrate even further. So the how can I say, the sky truly is the limit.
Is the limit. And we were listening to the budget presentation by the Senior Minister of Finance, and he did very clearly state the plans for increasing the energy mix. As you mentioned, solar and wind and hydro, yes, well, in the interior of Guyana. Yeah. So there's much in that regard. But Ambassador, our time is coming to a close. And as we mentioned, we're having this conversation in the lead up to the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo. So, as we get ready to wrap up, I'm interested in just hearing from you a little bit more about, what stands out about our Guyana's energy journey up to this point. We'll hear in greater detail at the energy conference, but from your perspective, what would be that vision for the future of the Guyana-DR partnership?
Well, what really stands out in the sense of responsibility accompanying rapid transformation is that you have to manage growth while strengthening the institutions. In order to ensure long-term sustainability, you need to define clear objectives. The Dominican Republic approaches its relationship with Guyana as a partnership that is grounded in mutual respect, in technical cooperation, not only in the field of energy. We're working together in capacity building, tourism, agriculture, as you mentioned before.
I think healthcare as well.
We actually have presented initiatives. We're just waiting, basically. We're just waiting for a response from the appropriate ministries. But we presented already the initiatives. And we also, as you know, we share common values, not only for coming from the same region, but me living here, I have been able to understand the philosophy, the inherent philosophy. As I told in several occasions when I met government officials, and I believe in a couple of speeches, if you want to find some solutions to what you consider challenges, you just have to go back to the moral, ethical, and philosophical principles that were designed by Chetty Jagan. So, you have everything now. You have everything. What you didn't have in the past was precisely that availability of resources. Now you have that. And if you need to go to find philosophical strength to carry the project along, you have that. You have also that base that was grounded by Chetty Jagan. And you have also the best leadership, I believe, for the current moment in Guyana. So our objective is actually to continue building a relationship that will deliver tangible results and that contributes to sustainable development, not only for Dominican Republic and Guyana, but also for the entire Caribbean region.
And we can still fly to Santo Domingo.
We have a direct flight, and we want actually people to come and visit the Dominican Republic from here. We have increased the amount of visitors, but you have to discover, and that way people will also be more curious to come and discover what we have discovered with this privilege of being hosted here in Guyana. Thank you so much, really.
You're most welcome, and we're happy to have you as part of, building out Guyana, Ambassador. Thank you for sharing the insights with us on this edition of the Energy Perspectives. Remember, we're counting down to the Energy Conference, and today we were very pleased to have had a conversation with His Excellency Ernesto Torres Pereyra, Ambassador of the Dominican Republic to Guyana. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Guyana Energy Perspectives podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.